Epic Geek Out, the only show on the internet that discusses who would win in a fight, Iron Man or the Man of Steel. I'm your host, Rob.
And I'm your host, Chad, and we're in a different location today. It's like
transition period.
Tour,
what works.
Tour of the Geek Pads,
Yes.
I guess. This is Rob's room and my old apartment. It's sad, but I said my name is Chad, and today we're talking about Man of Steel.
And then on Thursday, we're going to just be recapping some things that stuck out to us with E3 this past week.
As always, you can check us out over at Twitter at Epic Geek Out. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/epicgeekout, and also check out the website, www.epicgeekout.com. But let's get into our review of Man of Steel. So, Man of Steel, it's directed by Zach Snyder. It stars Henry Cavill, the first international Superman we've ever got. Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Michael Shannon as General Zod, and also has some other, other actors in there. But it is the story of, well, as you guessed it, Superman, and it kind of does a little bit of his origin, but not really like a Batman Begins, where it's more about like kind of Bruce Wayne than it is Batman. You know, this story is really kind of about Superman. So he's facing off against, his Kryptonian brethren. Chad, what did you think of this movie?
Yeah, not sure.
Also, we were really pumped for it.
Yeah,
the soundtrack is by Hans Zimmer, and it blows you away.
I think nothing lived up to that third trailer for me in terms of the movie, and that was amazing.
Nothing lived up to that teaser trailer for me. Just first showed the kid with the red cape on, doing the Superman pose. I mean,
you had the really super high expectations going into it, and at first I wasn't excited for it, but then, after seeing the trailer for like the fourth time and getting chills every time, I was like, okay, I'm on board. Unfortunately, it's probably the best Superman film I've seen, I gotta say. I mean, you have the originals and they're great, but in terms of like
dated,
they're dated, yeah. And in terms of illustrating his powers on screen, I think that this hands down does that in a really, really awesome way.
I agree with you there.
Really excited because Zach Snyder did a good job. I was worried about the slow-mo, which wasn't in there, but the story and the plot were covered up by
story?
I mean that's the problem, is like it was so awesome in terms of the action that I think that you kind of forgave a lot of the plot stuff, but there got to the point where it was like, this is just ridiculous. I mean, there's some awesome action scenes in this, but like Superman has no regard for anybody in Metropolis or anywhere. Like he just flies through buildings, damages skyscrapers, and like it's completely ridiculous.
I think we should have a little spoiler section at the end of our review just to talk about some things, because I don't want to ruin the movie for anyone, so people can turn off. But we have to talk about some things.
Yeah, there's a lot of action that just felt so ridiculous. Cool action, like the fight with him and Zod was one of the coolest superhero fights ever on film, but the character of Superman, it completely kind of ruined a lot of that. And just his build-up was really cool, but he never really earned. He seemed kind of just like a haphazard hero. Like he just fell into this fact that he's a hero now and he's saving people. Like the ideal of Superman being someone that we want to strive to be like was not there at all. And they tried to shoehorn it in a lot of places, and they said the right words in the script, but it didn't translate in terms of the action and the plot. Kevin Costner, awesome job. I mean, I think that those scenes were my favorite out of it, because those really actually had emotional weight to them, unlike every other part of the movie.
And the scenes you're talking about are like kind of the flashback scenes.
Right,
Kevin
of when he's
Costner
younger.
Plays, Papa Kent in it. So
So overall, I mean, I don't know. I wanted it to be this amazing. Like I wanted it to be better than the Avengers, to be honest with you, and it wasn't. But it still was a great. In terms of action, what they were able to pull off in terms of Superman, especially after Superman Returns, I mean, it was way better than that. And if they do end up making this universe with the Justice League, I think that this will fit okay. I mean, I don't think it hurt any of those chances. Also, Lois Lane was really weirdly used in this, I thought. Amy Adams did a great job, I thought, but just they put her in every scene in so many different jobs and positions, and it was just weird. I mean, I know she's a reporter, she travels and tries to get to the story, but like she was in the army at one point, kind of, and I don't know, it was just weird. And
citizen soldier, as the commercials would say.
And they try to do so much in one film, and I respect that they try to have an origin, but also have the awesome action stuff, because the latter half of the movie was a lot of the action-y stuff. but they sacrificed story for that, and you know, the story part never kind of earned its moments, I thought. So.
Sure. So they definitely went for some different methods of putting this film together. I mean, the flashback scenes are just that. They are flashbacks.
Yeah,
you know, it's not a linear story. It's not starting with his, you know, arrival to Earth and then, you know, showing him grow up.
Right.
You know, it's moments that make him remember his, you know.
I thought that was an interesting choice. I wasn't expecting that. So
I agree, but I would have much rather it been just a linear story and they, you know, didn't piecemeal it in different parts and then, you know, show him seeing someone from Smallville and him remembering something like that. You know, the movie was shot really well, and I think the action scenes were some of the best utilization of superpowers. Like, the punches seem like how it would be if Superman punched.
Right.
But the thing is, it just was done, I don't know, Superman... this was, okay, I think the good way to describe it, and I'm stealing this from a review I read, is this is more of a sci-fi film than it is a superhero film.
Yes.
You know, it has a lot to do, like, you know, the opening scene is, you know, his real parents and them, you know, saving him, and it's this crazy world, which I think was, you know, cool to see.
Cool, yeah.
And, you know, interesting to set up the world in regards to that. But it just didn't earn a lot of different parts to it. The fight scenes, though they were great, you would hope that Superman would try to have moved it out of the middle of Metropolis.
Yeah.
Because every time they threw a punch, another building came down with people in the building. And, like, that just seemed
and you knew that they were going for that,
so
like, crazy action.
ridiculous.
Like,
And if he's there, if Superman is here to protect us, he does literally have no regard for human life at all.
Yeah.
That took me out of the movie, and like I really just I hated that. I really hated that part of the movie because
as cool as it looked,
such destruction.
Yeah,
and though they didn't have kryptonite in this movie, like they said that they weren't going to have, they still like had this falsehood of, oh, this machine changes it to Kryptonian like planet-ish thing, and that made him weak.
Yeah.
So though they didn't have kryptonite, they had something that did the exact same thing as kryptonite.
Yeah.
Why not just have kryptonite in the movie? So that, you know, I struggled with as well. I think it's worth going to see.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's iconic, and seeing him take flight for the first time is really awesome.
But again, not as cool as the trailer was, I didn't think.
Yeah, no, I mean, the trailers were really good. I think the music throughout did help the movie, but, I mean, there were just parts where, like, I just couldn't... I mean, can we do a little spoiler-ish part?
Just spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, so from this point on, you know, a bit of spoilers for the movie. One of the things I hated was now Lois Lane knows he's Clark Kent immediately.
Yeah.
Like, and yes, I mean, it kind of answers the whole, oh, he's just wearing glasses thing. Like, of course, you know.
Right.
But
right. That kind of grounds that a little bit, I guess.
Grounds it, but, like, so immediate.
Yeah.
When they first meet, he uses his eyes to cauterize a wound for her, and then just kind of like disappears, and she knows that there's this like crazy being kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like that took me out of it. Again, the destruction of the entire city was ridiculous. Took me out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's really spoiler. So I guess we're doing spoilers. Yeah. But he kills Zod at the end. So I mean,
destroys, you know, a good chunk of Metropolis, and then Zod's about to, you know, eye zap a family of 4, and this is when Superman decides that, you know, he needs to be killed, not after he took down the 20th building.
Or Superman took down the 20th.
Yeah, or Superman took down. Like, so that just made no sense to me that was the moment. And, like, Superman also doesn't kill. Like, you kind of wish that he did it in a different way.
I think that they did that okay, because, like, afterwards he did regret it, and you kind of got the fact that, like, he had no choice. But still, it was an interesting choice for an origin movie that's supposed to set up tons of other movies, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is
they made some bold choices for that.
Absolutely. And apparently there were some cool tie-ins. You know, on one of the trucks it had LexCorp, which I liked, and on one of the satellites it apparently had the Winged Enterprise symbol. So, you know, they are making the steps to try to do what Marvel did, but I don't think that they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a mixed bag.
Yeah, they didn't do it in a way that was direct either. So, like, they didn't have, like, oh, let's form a team or something. So, or, like, even make note that there are other beings. I mean, this is a different world than Marvel because you got aliens coming to Earth. So it's definitely, I mean, Marvel did that eventually, but like Iron Man was such a grounded movie because it's, you know.
But you could argue maybe Batman is like they're just grounding it, and this could be like Earth Thor, which did take it kind of leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
You know, it does seem like they're going to have an uphill road to try to do a Justice League movie.
Because now Metropolis pretty much doesn't exist.
Yes, it's like at the end of Watchmen,
Yes.
kind of. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, so you know, mixed bag for Man of Steel, but I'd say definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, it's good. It's not as good as I wanted it to be, but I think that was unrealistic when I kind of wanted it to be. So check out Man of Steel.
So it's that time of the episode where we like to give our thanks. Chad, what are you thankful for today?
I started watching a show that I love. It's called The Hero, and it's a reality show with The Rock. And yeah, it's super corny, and it's a reality show, but The Rock's in it. So, you know, I think it gets a step up right there. But the plot of the show is almost like a Fear Factor competition show. But as of this point, I mean, there's only been 2 episodes. No one's gotten voted off yet. So I don't know. At some point, I think America's going to be doing the voting off instead of like the people in the house. But they have to compete in these like crazy challenges, like heights and darkness and in the underwater and all this crazy stuff. And they're trying to find like who is a hero, who's a good person, along with being heroic in what they do. Completely like written, and it's kind of crazy, but you know, I like it. And the whole kind of underlying thing of it is they offer people money to take like 30 grand to like betray the team, and they see if they do it. There's a lot of like backroom deals going on, but I like it so far. You know, it's refreshing. I haven't really like latched onto a reality show for a while, so for me it's kind of nice. Yeah, sure. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Treasure Hunter show, but not as good as that, because that was awesome. But yeah, I'm liking it. It's on Thursdays on TNT, which is kind of a different channel for a reality show. But yeah, check it out if you're into The Rock. He's great in it. So.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank another current movie that I just saw. I got the chance to check out Epic, which, you know, is a kid's movie. It really could just be called Ferngully 2, in a sense. Really. But it was really well done. The visuals in it were really great. I didn't see it in 3D, but, you know, I think they did a really good job setting up the world. And, you know, it just was an easy kind of movie to enjoy, and one that I think really kids are going to like if they give it a chance. And I think it's from DreamWorks, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of the voices were really well done throughout the movie. You know, some parts that I didn't like, but, you know, overall, you know, a good kids movie to check out.
Yeah, so. Speaking of which, I saw the Turbo trailer for time. I've seen that. I actually think it was kind of funny.
Ridiculous concept.
Yeah.
For those, you know, who haven't seen the Turbo trailer, it's about a snail who gets supercharged by a car and then competes in NASCAR?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Sounds awesome. So we're going to be back on Thursday talking about the Xbox One, PS4 debate, and other goodies from E3. So make sure you check back for that. Thanks for watching this episode, as always, and we'll see you next time.